OK. Have you ever got your punch in first, Dawn?
Yes, I have. And look, and you know, the first line should always be to diffuse the situation, to use humour, to go down the official route. But if none of that works, then I'm sorry, but what this young lady did, she's 16, she's studying for her GCSEs, there is no other option. I mean, I was taught as a kid to stand up for myself, and sometimes that really is the only option. So the girl did this, the school had done nothing, so she punched her bully in the face. The bullying stopped, so the victim's anxiety stopped. She can now study for her GCSEs. But the awfulness of this story is she was the one that was punished for standing up for herself against the bully, whilst the bully got away with it and was allowed to carry on in class.
She was expelled from school for 2 days.
For 2 days, yes, exactly.
Right.
For standing up for herself.
That, of course, Fahima Mahomed, is the risk if you do take to violence in all of this. It might be the only way to defeat your bully, but it will have consequences.
Absolutely. I don't think that we should not stand up for yourself, but I think the way in which you stand up needs to be considered. You need to have more than an average mind and a smart way of dealing with it, because this is your future way of dealing with conflict. And also we are putting, you know, youth into the real world to understand that violence is never the answer. Yes, we should tackle this where the schools are obviously going to be taken into consideration as to why this was not actually taken seriously, because we know the Department of Education have these policies in this country where bullying is taken very seriously. So at the end of the day, I think parents and authorities need to actually come down on the schools, because we are teaching our future generations as to how to deal with these kind of circumstances. And when you want to condone something, you don't act upon it in the same way just because it's coming from your side.
But you can understand, can't you, how as a mother, Bianca would be incredibly frustrated to see her daughter coming home day after day being the victim of bullying, and just saying to her, well done, when she has done something about it. You can understand the temptation of a protective mother.
Absolutely. But again, you know, you're sending a message to your, you know, child that when they go out into the real world, how are they going to deal? Because there are consequences, and the older you get, the consequences are much more detrimental. So we need to teach them different skills, and skills that it is within the law of the land, so that they actually do not get themselves into trouble, because there are, you know, statements and there are policies and things in place in order for them to actually deal with this, where they actually can get to the core sort of issues and deal with both the bully as well as the victim.
But the problem with that, Fahima, is they're not working. 40% of young people have been bullied in the last 12 months. And if you read through the list of things you are supposed to do if you're being bullied at school, it's, you know, contact the governors, you know, complain to the local authority. This is all very slow, laborious stuff, and often doesn't get acted on. You know, and if you are in the middle of studying for your exams, you need something to... Look, I'm not condoning violence in any way, shape or form. It's always a last resort. And sort of like, you know, in my incident, I was 10 years old, and the lad was trying to bully me over goofy teeth.
What?
Which he had goofy teeth as well, and I think that's why he was trying to deflect it on me. But I punched him in the face. It stopped instantly. And I met him years later on in life, and we discussed it, and we're good friends. And he said he learnt a valuable lesson then. I mean, we were only 10. Obviously, when you're 20-something and in the workplace, you can't go around punching people.
Yeah.
So you do have to find ways of diffusing that situation. Now I try and use humour, obviously unsuccessfully most of the time. But, you know, I can honestly say, touch wood, I've never been bullied since that day. And I hate bullying. I really hate it. But all the official things, Fahima's right, of course, you should try and sort it out with the school. But it just doesn't seem to be working.
I think parents need to be a bit more forceful. I think a lot of the times we're not actually putting ourselves out there to actually justify why these things are not being done. That's the reason why it's being, you know, not sort of upheld. I think we need to be a lot more tougher as parents to deal with it. We do not get ourselves involved. I personally am a parent. I do get myself involved in the schools. A lot of times they say that in primary school it's easier, in secondary school it's not. But no, I am willing to do that. So they know who I am, who's my kids, and at the same time my kids are taught different skills in order to combat this, and also come to trusting adults, because they are meant to be protected at the end of the day. They need to go to the authorities to be able to deal with this, because it can escalate instead of de-escalating the situation. Yeah. And nowadays, this could actually lead to extreme where there are rivalries. Well, it won't actually de-escalate the situation when
it's
you
often the
that
parents that are the worst protagonists in all of this, because as soon as it goes to them, they know their rights, and whether their junior was responsible for it or not, they will stick up. The people will be blind. They'll have blind spots about this. My junior couldn't have done that, couldn't possibly have done that.
No, you have to be fair, obviously. I'm always inside of the schools, and I always try to be balanced, because at the end of the day, we are teaching our young children how to get out into the real world. And as much as we want to bubble wrap them and protect them,
but wait a minute, the
we
real
cannot
world
do
is
that.
Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine.
Not
Maybe
everywhere,
somebody should have
no.
stood up to him.
Of course, but at the same time, I think it starts with the young and the little people that have these kind of voices at the end of the day. You cannot just say that, you know, and make it like everyone is under the same sort of brush. At the same time, we have to stand up and do certain things, and we have, because systems are in place for us to be able to do this. But we don't take advantage of it.
Yes, but they take a long while to click.
Not necessarily. When you get a group of mothers together or parents together generally, and you make a noise, just like how you would on Twitter, but you go out to the schools and do that.
A lot of parents will make a noise by going to the police. What do you think about getting the police involved in these things?
If it's serious, then yeah, why not? Because at the end of the day, you know, there are obviously psychology sort of, you know, reasons and theories behind why this happens. And it does start from maybe they are, you know, not treated well at home, they bullied themselves, they come from backgrounds where they actually need the extra assistance. So it's not just also helping the victim, it's helping the persecutor, because they actually come from a certain type where they may be in need of that kind of assistance. So we're not just helping and assisting the victim, we're also trying to maybe, you know, make better sort of choices for people that are not actually there, you know, making those choices.
Dawn, I don't know where this incident happened, where Bianca's daughter was at school, but certainly as a parent of children in London, I would be nervous about my child physically squaring up to someone, because you never know if that could escalate. I mean, we've got a huge knife crime problem in the capital here, I think in other cities as well.
Of course.
It could easily escalate.
Of course it could, and you have to be very aware of that. And, you know, in an ideal world, the systems that are in place would work, but the problem is they're not working. And you have to be very careful now about knife crime, because, you know, I'm talking about when I was a kid, kids didn't carry knives.
Yeah.
You know, you could punch someone in the face and you'll get a punch back, you know, if you were unlucky, and that was it. But now kids are calling. So you do have to be very careful. And, you know, like Fahima, I just want the systems to work, but they're quite clearly not. Because 80% of people in work say they've been bullied in work. So, you know, the children that are being bullied, you know, and the situation isn't getting better when you go to work either.
Do you know, I have a theory, because, you know, there's often the argument that the kids who are bullying have got problems at home, that they're from there's problems going on. The more I go through this parenting journey and the way I see some parents doing a really bad job, the more I understand bullying in the workplace. I think there's a whole generation of damaged adults walking around.
There's psychology behind it, absolutely.
I really do think
there definitely is. I'm studying that at the moment, and my master's with regards to human behaviour. And at the same time, there is definitely some sort of like connection with regards to how you are in your environment. Even
happy people don't hurt people.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, there's also the neurodevelopmental sort of, you know, sort of lacking with certain individuals when they are at a particular age and they don't have the understanding, they don't have that sort of like, you know, mentorship.
I think Aidan's got a very good point about the parenting, though. It's like, you know, back in our day, if you were bullying someone at school, you know, your mum or dad wouldn't go to the school and say, my little Johnny's an angel, you know, you'd have to, you know. My dad would give me a clip round the ear, march me up the school and literally insist I was suspended or I've had some punishment. There's a different now, the attitude that parents have towards children misbehaving. It's like, you know, parents are often very aggressive to teachers.
I was told
Sometimes
if they hit you, hit them harder.
Hit them harder and then run faster.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
But you know, now if there's an incident at school, I got a call from my head teacher recently. My son had been the victim of something, but they wouldn't tell me the names of the children involved because they didn't want me to take action as a parent against the other parents or indeed that child. It's funny, the systems that are in place are really quite robust now. And I guess you can understand, because you do get these people that take it into their own hands, these aggro parents.
Well, parents can get involved. You can be part of the governing board. If you really want to be interested, you can. It's that we don't. And only when there's a problem, then only that we want to make, you know, and have a voice. So you have to take steps from the beginning. If you are raising children, you need to be involved in their lives.
So if your child was being bullied at school and they struck back, you would be ashamed of your child?
I won't be ashamed. I would understand. But at the same time, I would not accept that. I would actually say that there were better choices. And obviously, my kids personally, they do martial arts, so they know how to defend themselves. So then we have to assess it.
So you wouldn't say well done?
I wouldn't say well done.
Isabel?
I think if someone is attacking them in a physical situation, then that's OK to defend yourself. But I wouldn't encourage my children to go up in a peaceful situation and be the instigator.
I think it's more dangerous.
Well.